welcome everyone. This is Glenda Dawson, and I have MoonGirl here with us, and you're watching the Paranormal Dolls. Welcome,
Hey,
girl. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
I'm always doing fine. You know that. Even if I am on a stretcher hooked up to machines, I'm fine.
You'll still be doing podcast and
I'll still be
classes.
doing podcasts. Yes, I'll just put on makeup, try to hide all the machinery.
Perfect.
So I hear, oh, I see we have a perfect guest today. Wonderful.
Yes,
Yes. Would you like to introduce him?
Mr. Billy Lewis. Thank you so much for being here with us. Do
Thank
you
you.
want
Hey,
to?
thank.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for coming on with us. It's really a pleasure. A pleasure. So tell us about yourself, so our audience can get to know you, and not that everybody doesn't know you, but for more people to get to know
Well, not many people know me, and I want to keep it that way. No.
you.
I don't
So
blame you.
I try to stay as low key as possible. Um, Not that I'm anybody, but I still try to stay low key.
Mhm.
um, so anyway, so yes, my name is Billy Lewis. I am a filmmaker, born and raised in North Carolina. Um, and I've been in the, I guess, filmmaking entertainment business for, um, gosh, since 2000, 2001. Um, when I went to college, young and naive, and was just trying to figure out what, my direction should be in life. Did a lot of meditating, a lot of praying, a lot of soul searching, and probably like my sophomore year in college, something just kind of came over me, a feeling that I should be in the entertainment field. Now, at the time, 19, 20 years old, um, I didn't know. That was very vague, obviously, and I was very naive. Like what, nobody in my family had ever done anything like what I do, filmmaking and video production and whatnot. So, anyways, graduated from college, got a degree in broadcast journalism, which was good for nothing, because everything I've learned since then, I've kind of learned on my own. And it's funny because I actually go back or not go back, but I've talked to several college classes, film classes, particular, or those getting their degrees in film. And and I want to tell them so bad that they really don't need school. I don't want to tell anyone to not go to school, but I'm like, oh, you'd save a lot of money if you're really passionate about it and you work hard, and that's what you feel like you know, you're supposed to be doing. So, um, anyways, long story short, I don't want to dog out college, but after I graduated, I moved out to Los Angeles,
Mhm.
early 2000s, and lived out there for a year. Again, very naive, very young. Um, just thought I would go out there and, you know, get discovered and just be in the entertainment industry. And it was a rude awakening, living out there and, seeing that everybody is trying to do the same thing you're trying to do. So after a year, I ended up moving back to North Carolina, and just trying to figure out a better game plan. And again, just figure out, well, do I want to try to be an actor? I tried that and I wasn't very good at it. It's very tough to be an actor, because I had a hard time, like, kind of losing myself and being a character and whatnot. So I give a lot of kudos and a lot of credit for really good actors. Now, I've worked with a lot of actors over the years, and I've worked with a lot of bad actors too. So acting is not easy, especially those who do it flawlessly. But anyway, so when I moved back here, I ended up getting a job in TV news, and I worked in TV news for about 5 years. And I tell everyone that that was my real education, because um, I started out as a studio production assistant and learned a lot of behind the scenes stuff. And then I started learning how to use a camera like in my off time. So then I was able to go out and actually start shooting news. And then learned how to edit. I learned how to interview people, learned how to light. I learned how to, shoot stuff. And more importantly, when I worked in news, it gave me it developed inside me a great work ethic because when you go and do news every day, you're going out, and I was a photographer, so I'd normally go out with a reporter more times than not. A lot of times I'd go out by myself and just have to shoot stuff and interview, but you had to turn around and have it edited and ready for, the 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock news. So you had to move really fast. And then if there's like breaking news, and you'd have to take a live in and you'd have to shoot, at the scene of what was happening and feed it back to the TV station, and your reporter will go live. So you have to set up a live shot, you're editing. So anyways, saw a lot of bad stuff when I worked in news. A lot of fires, a lot of, murder scenes, and a lot of really bad things that, I didn't anticipate. But after 5 years, it was, just kind of weighing on me. Now, out of working in news, I was able to use the camera gear and other stuff that I needed on the weekends. The bosses I had were really flexible, and they would let me. So I actually did my first couple of short films that I wrote and directed while I worked in TV news on the weekends. Obviously no budget and friends helping out and stuff. So again, I had a plan all along working in news to just try to transition over to doing more narrative stuff of what I wanted to do, making movies and stuff. So anyways, after 5 years, got out of news, had to hustle for a while, work some jobs that weren't in the field until I was able to buy my own camera gear, my own equipment, and started my own production company a couple years after working in news. And in news, I actually made a lot of contacts too in the town that I live in, so that benefited me after the fact, as far as people needing kind of corporate videos for their websites and, for training videos and whatever. Again, wasn't 100% what I want to do, but if it was anything video related and in the field, that was great to be able to produce that and actually get paid for it, and make a living off of it. So it's not for the faint of heart. It's been a hustle, 100% been a hustle for doing this. And I've never made a killing doing what I'm doing, but I've always stayed true to myself, and I've always stayed true to what I truly feel like God put me on this earth to do. And I've always been taken care of, never been out on the streets, and always had a roof over my head and whatnot. So started my own production company in 2008, doing a lot of local TV commercials, picked up some good clients, just doing a lot of corporate stuff. And I ended up picking up clients all around the United States and traveling and doing whatnot, doing, good work for people. So fast forward to it's actually 2019. I'm sure you guys have seen the show on the History Channel called The Unexplained that William Shatner hosts.
Yes.
Yes.
I love that show. That show's awesome.
I do too.
Yeah. So the first episode that they ever did, they profiled a house in Indiana, the Willows Weep house. And Dave Spinks, who owns that, he's a paranormal investigator, lives in West Virginia. And it was only like a 7 to 8 minute segment, and they called it the most evil house in America. And I just thought it was really intriguing. But at that time, my mind was like, man, this would be a really good house and really good story to actually write a narrative movie about, which I ended up doing after the fact. I never produced the narrative movie, but I ended up getting up with the owner of the house and meeting him there. It was a long drive, so it's like a 12-hour drive for me. But I ended up going a couple of times, and that was my first kind of parlay into the paranormal field, per se, because I've always been into horror and ghost and UFOs and Bigfoot and stuff like that, but never really shot content or did much with that. So when I went to that house and actually catching some paranormal evidence and stuff, it really um, it really sparked a light bulb inside my head. Well, let me back up a little bit. So before that, I had written and directed two narrative movies. One's over my shoulder. That poster is called The Jailhouse, which I actually had C. Thomas Howell, who was a big actor back in the 80s. That was the first movie I ever did. I wrote it and directed it. C. Thomas Howell was in The Outsiders. He was Ponyboy in The Outsiders with Tom Cruise and Patrick Swayze and Matt Dillon and all these other, Diane Lane. And then he was in Red Dawn. He was in the Hitcher movie, the original Hitcher movie. So I had an investor in that, was able to have a little bit of a budget. We brought him in from California, and he filmed with us for 3 weeks. You can find that movie, The Jailhouse, on Scare Network too. I put that on there. And then I did another movie, if you can see up there, The Terrible Two. That's my second narrative movie that I wrote and directed. And I actually shot this here in my house back in 2015. And we shot for about 2 weeks. I actually kicked my wife and my girls out for 2 weeks. And we took over the house and filmed a horror movie. And I don't think my girls have even seen it yet. They're getting older now, so they probably watch it. Not that it was that scary, but it was an independent horror movie. But anyways, the reason that I bring that up is because both times when I did those movies, I signed with, I'll just call it how it is, really shady distributors out in Los Angeles who took my movie. I did all the work, found the money, produced it, wrote it, directed it, had it edited, all that, signed with these distributors. They sold it, literally sold both movies around the world, made money off of it. And I didn't get anything out of it. Terrible 2, we made a little bit of money, maybe nothing to write home about, maybe $4,000 to $5,000. But what I had in it is just no comparison. So anyway, so with those two movies, it just, it really frustrated me, the system of the way independent movies were handled, and the low rate distributors who do this to independent filmmakers, because they can take their movies, they can sell around the world, they can make a quick buck, not pay the filmmaker because they know the filmmaker doesn't have the money to properly sue them and stuff. So it's a really weird, twisted game. And I know the music industry is a lot like that too. It's probably even worse from what I hear. So with all that being said, that in 2015, when I was doing The Terrible 2 and going through that, there was just this idea planted of, man, how can we come up with something and self-distribute and really, try to reach the masses and try to stay in control of what money you make and continue to keep making good content and never have to give it up to anybody else. And so, obviously Netflix is the king of streaming, and everybody knows Netflix. So it's like, if you look at their business model and what they have done at this point, they're just a giant worldwide. But if you simplify what they've done, that's what I try to follow. So fast forward again, 2021, fall of 2020, after the pandemic broke and everything shut down, I was really looking for new opportunities to do something else, but in the same field. And so I came up with Scare Network several months before I even started it. And then in January 2021, I actually started the site, and I was actually doing it through Vimeo. Vimeo has a system where you can actually start a streaming site through their through what they have built, and they make it really easy for you because, you know, Vimeo is a huge company, so they have all the tools and resources to be able to host these types of sites and stuff. Now, the trade-off is, well, there's a couple things. You have to have content to put on there to attract people to it.
Mhm.
But then on the flip side, Vimeo has a lot of fees and a lot of they take a good percentage of what you make and what you bring in. So although everything, they make it look really good and really easy, again, there's that trade-off of people taking from you. So again, with that, I am thankful for Vimeo because it did give me to start. It allowed me to be able to start Scare Network, to make a little bit of a name for ourselves, to continue to create original documentaries and pick up some other films and make a little bit of money. We didn't make anything to write home about, but it was making enough to keep financing new projects and a little bit of marketing here and there and whatnot. So luckily early on, I linked up with Sean Austin, who I think you guys have had on the show before. Great paranormal investigator. And the very first documentary we ever did is called Malithus. And we shot that. That was kind of the linchpin to start all this. We shot that January of 2021 and we released it in June of 2021. And I have that poster back here too. It's kind of hard to where's it? Yeah, that one. But it's a cool poster. It's got a big monster overlooking the house and stuff. But that was a good one. We shot that in Ohio in probably about the third week of January. And again, I was very naive when I did that, because I was just like, man, because I'd heard Sean had been to this house and he had some experiences 5 years later, and he felt like he had an attachment. He may have told you guys a story that kind of followed him for 5 years plus and really caused a lot of havoc in his life. So there's a good backstory, and he had a lot of good evidence that he had gotten with his cell phone and some other little cameras back in 2015, 2016 that he documented. So we were able to interject that into what we got. But we went and stayed maybe 3 or 4 days at that house, and we're just shooting nonstop. But again, when I got there, I was very naive. Even with my professional equipment and stuff, I was like, man, I'll walk around here and I'll be able to film a ghost and that just wasn't the case. It's just not that easy. Obviously, the paranormal is a lot different, but there was a good story there, and that's what drew it to me. I got really good interviews. We got really good evidence, and I was very skeptical too. And I think that's what made this documentary so good, is because I actually left a lot of stuff out that Sean and them claimed to be evidence, and I actually put it on the cutting room floor because either I didn't hear a response or one thing or the other. But that documentary, if you go and read the IMDb reviews on that, IMDb stands for Internet Movie Database, if people don't know what that is. But go and read the reviews on the Malithus documentary. There's about 40 written reviews of people. I have no idea who they are, and they all just rant and rave about, say it's one of the best or better paranormal documentaries they've ever seen. And it's and still, I mean, we released that almost 3 years ago, and still a lot of people don't know about it, but it is a really good film. And so when we released that June of 21, again, we were getting really good responses, really good reviews and all that. So all that does is just kind of motivates me to keep creating and to keep looking for new stories and telling these stories in a unique way that not a lot of people can, because I've been doing it for so long. I feel like just with my experience from news and then all the corporate clients and everything I've done over the years has kind of prepared me to be a good storyteller. So I bring kind of my narrative filmmaking outlook and abilities into these paranormal, true crime, monster, horror. That's the 4 things we focus on: paranormal, true crime, monster, horror. So that's the content we that's the only content we stick to, is those genres. So I try to bring in my storytelling abilities with each thing we do versus, a lot of, paranormal docs that are just, look like live shots, live TikToks and stuff like that. Not knocking that, because we do use a lot of lives and stuff too. Well, we use a lot of evidence from lives, not lives, but if Sean and other investigators are working with, they're doing a separate live, we're at a location and they get great evidence, we'll pop it in there if it fits in with what we're trying to accomplish and stuff. So what I try to do with a lot of these Scare Network documentaries and films that we've done and are continuing to do is, I try to, if the location, if there's a history that can be told, I try to project that in. Like, for example, the Malthus one, we couldn't get any real history on that location per se. But the owners they wouldn't go on camera, but they told of what they thought and heard was the history of that land and that location. So a lot of the evidence we got backed up what they said. So we just kind of ran with that. Now, let's say if we go to, like, we did a documentary on Yorktown in Texas, and obviously there's a very sad history to that with the number of patients who have passed away there. So, we were able to get some interviews on the real history and stuff and that. And then again, the evidence backs it up. So me, I like being able to get a history of a location and a place. And then when we get evidence to corroborate what actually happened there, that's very gratifying to me, or for me. So me as a filmmaker and stuff, I'm not a paranormal investigator. I don't claim to be whatever, but I've been around enough locations and enough places now that I kind of understand what's good evidence, what's real evidence, and whatnot. And so I get really good interviews too, or try to get good interviews to help carry the story. So my philosophy is I'm not trying to convince a viewer if the paranormal is real or not. I'm just going to tell the story. I'm going to put our evidence that we got out there, and you can make your own judgments and assertions from that. I'm not trying to convince you one way or the other. So, so we've been fortunate and blessed enough, and Sean, super well connected in the paranormal field. He had the show on Netflix, the 28 Days Haunted, and then he had the Travel Channel show, or a couple of Travel Channel shows that he was on. And so he's constantly, people are constantly contacting him about, locations and stories and whatnot. So he's been a invaluable asset for what I've tried to accomplish with this platform and stuff. And with Scare Network, we're just a baby right now. I mentioned the Vimeo thing. About a year ago, I took a leap of faith and kind of left Vimeo, and I hired some developers to build our site from the ground up, from scratch. So they've been working on it for about a year, and see, all of our apps and stuff still aren't updated. We've got the Apple iOS app. It should be updated next week. Roku's getting updated, even though Roku's out. We got Fire Stick, Apple TV. We'll have Android TV, and then the desktop and stuff. So when I left Vimeo, it was tough because, like I said, Vimeo made things so easy and so seamless. But there was the trade-off that, again, like I said, they just have so many fees and whatnot built in. So it's, I know I've lost a lot of customers over the last year because of this transition. It's been a really tough transition from a technical standpoint because everything hasn't been working, but it will be. We're getting there, and our website looks clean and fresh and all that. We just need all the systems to start working together properly and everything be updated and stuff. So, I'm happy with where we are. Like I said, I feel like Scare Network platform is a baby to where I want it to be, and I'm not in this to get rich, to get famous. That's never been my goal in life. Like I said earlier, I do what I do because I truly feel like that's what I was put on this earth to do. So money, fame, any of that stuff has never driven me, never has, never will. I just love creating new stories and putting new stories out there, and people being able to relate and actually maybe get entertained by what we create and stuff. So, anyways.
Okay.
Now, prior to the documentaries and Scare Network, were you a believer of the afterlife, and did you ever experience any paranormal activity?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely a believer of the afterlife. Paranormal activity, no. Not that I can recall. And Sean and others we work with, they're amazed that I don't get affected by some of these locations and stuff that we go to. Um, and I really don't. I mean, I'm a very strong believer. I'm a very strong Christian and pray a lot and whatnot. And so I feel protected. And not that I ever obviously want anything to attach to me or anything like that. When I go to a location and stuff, I feel like I'm so keyed in on what I need to do from a production standpoint, that I don't even have time to think about it or let stuff affect me like that. The one time, no, I did mention Yorktown in Texas. That place, that's the one place that I truly feel like. So that place, I think you can only do overnight. So we got there at like 9 o'clock at night, and you have to be out by like 6 o'clock the next morning. And when we went, it was in February and it was super cold. There's a lot of busted out windows there. There's no electricity in there. So the first couple hours we went, Sean and Eric, guy who's in a lot of our documentaries too, they went around a live stream because it's a really huge abandoned hospital, and I went around by myself. It was just us three. Went around by myself, getting a lot of shots. It's called B-roll, just video shots to help carry the story of wide shots, tight shots on whatever it may be, dolls or abandoned kitchen or whatever. Well, they had a really creepy basement there where there was a supposed um, murder, double suicide that occurred sometime back in the 80s, where a woman was having an affair with a guy, and the husband came and killed both of them down in the basement, and then shot himself. So I was down there in that area, which I'm sure more stuff than that happened down there, more bad things happened. And that was the one place where I felt like when I was getting shots, and again, no electricity, it's dark, so I'm having to walk around with a huge light in my camera and tripod and everything. But I knew I had a job to do, because if I didn't get the B-roll and video, nobody else was. So that's what I was there for. But that's the one place where I truly felt like something was right on my back the whole time, or not on my back, but looking over me and looking at. And we've been to some crazy places, but that's the one that is the most. But yes, go back to your question. Definitely believed in the afterlife, but I can't say that I had any paranormal experiences before doing all this. If I did, I didn't recognize them.
Wow.
So it seems like the training in the news, the reporting, has helped you for now, because you like to bring the story behind the history, and then show the evidence, which is basically what reporting is, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
And yeah, I mean, the good thing about news, well, for me, the good thing about news is you're doing so many interviews. So I say to this point, I know I've probably done 10,000 interviews with news by myself. So I'm inadvertently or gotten really good at asking questions, even if somebody's not a good interviewer, like on camera. I can guide people into knowing what I need to hear, because it's weird. I have this weird thing where I can almost edit something while I'm actually shooting it and while I'm hearing stuff. And I can hear somebody say a sound bite, and in my head I'd be like, oh man, that's going to sound really good in the trailer of this particular project and stuff. So, and that just comes with experience. Not saying I'm gifted by any stretch of imagination. That just comes with years of experience and years of doing it and doing so many interviews and being aggressive with continuing to do production and stuff. So yeah, I mean, but you guys know the news is so negative, man. I mean, it's like it's 95% negative, and maybe at the
Yeah.
very they have a little puppy on there.
I was about to say, yeah.
So I try to not watch too much news because I'm already dealing
Depressing.
with the macabre a lot, so I don't need any more of that. But anyways,
Mhm.
So, what are your hopes for the Scare Network? Because I do see it growing. I know that right now you're going through some growing pains, and of course you have to start somewhere. But I really do see it expanding. So I'm going to tell you congratulations ahead of time. But what are your hopes and dreams for your network?
Like I said, I mean, I just want to continue to keep telling good stories, whether they be documentaries. I mean, I want to do narrative films too. Not me personally. I've kind of my focus, but I want to be able to have the opportunity to give other filmmakers a chance because I know how hard it is to get chances in this business and stuff. So again, with God willing, whatever revenue we make, I just want to sink it right back into this platform and keep creating new content and sending people out. Now I'm a perfectionist and I feel like I've kind of set a bar with our original stuff. Now we're starting to pick up other films from other filmmakers, and I'm working with some other distributors who have horror films and other stuff. With that being said, like our original stuff, I try to set the bar that I want to kind of stay at. And I don't want to be YouTube. I want us to have really good content that people say, hey, paranormal, true crime, horror, monster content, man, like this platform just they do really good work in those specific genres and stuff. So I don't know, man. I mean, I'm sure you guys over the last several years have seen the dismantling of Travel Channel with Discovery, Warner Brother. I guess it's Warner, or maybe it's just called Warner Media now, buying that. It's this weird thing where they've gotten rid of a lot of their paranormal shows and other stuff. I think I kind of wrote in the little bio I sent you guys. I think there's a little void there, especially in the paranormal field, a little void to fill. So I'm not in a position to constantly. I mean, I wish I was. I wish we could put a new title out, once a week, or a new series out once a week. We're going to get there, but baby steps. I can be impatient at times too because it's like, man, like I know what we can do. If there was 10 of me and we're actually generating good revenue, then man, like game over because we do tell good stories, and it's not just me. I mean, it's others that I work with too are telling good stories and helping out and stuff too. So yeah, I mean, who knows, man? I just want to keep creating. I want to give others opportunity and fill that void, and I want people to be able to turn to us and be a very specialized. I definitely don't want to be as big as Netflix. I mean, that is like such a monster. Um, but yeah, that's what I want to do. Just keep creating and keep entertaining people.
I think you, like Sarah said, MoonGirl said, there is very positive energy coming towards you. So yeah, there's going to be good growth, and you're going to get to more than what you ever expected. So
I hope so. Thank you for saying that. It means a lot because it is just in the 3 years of doing this. Yeah, we just celebrated our 3-year anniversary, and I didn't really do anything for it, but it is truly been a hustle. And really, the only person who knows how much of a hustle and struggle it's has been my wife, who's obviously sees me travel, and I have to come off, sometimes a week at a time, and come back and put this content stuff together. And it's no easy task, especially editing the stuff that we do and whatnot. So again, thank you for saying that. It means a lot to me. But I know that hoping that the hard work and stuff is going to pay off. And I'm just doing what I have to do right now to get to where we want to be, where we can bring others on to kind of do some of the jobs, some of the 20 jobs that I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very hard.
I know you guys are familiar with that. Where cats.
Mm. So, do you have any projects that you're working on right now, or?
Yes. Yeah, I've got a bunch in the can. Um, you guys heard of Shanley Hotel, right? In New
Yes,
York?
I've been there.
Yes. So we released a documentary. Well, it's actually a two-part documentary back in December. It's called Demon Castle. It's about this castle in Auburn, New York. And I don't know if you guys saw the trailer or actually watched those documentaries,
Mhm.
um, but it was really good. We went there and we shot for a few days, and then Shanley was only about 3 hours from there. So when we left the Demon Castle or Auburn Castle in Auburn, New York, we just went down to Shanley. This is back in the end of June, beginning of July. So we left this place, went to Shanley, and shot for 2 days at Shanley. And it's crazy because I'm actually putting it together right now, and I think I can have it out by the end of February. It's going to be really good. Kelly, the one that owns it, she
Mhm.
gave a phenomenal interview. I was actually going through stuff today, and our evidence is really good too. And so it seems like something from that Auburn Castle kind of followed us down to the Shanley and came in and kind of worked its way into that place. And you'll understand when you watch it. So there's a really crazy connection there of how that happened. So we'll have that come out, like I said, at the end of the month.
Nice.
And then a few weeks ago, went to Bristol, Tennessee. I don't know if you guys have ever heard this place called the Ura Shrine. URA.
I don't
It's
think I have.
You should look it up. It's really weird. It's this shrine that this guy was a whole house, and the guy's super nice. His name's Rick, and he allows any type of groups to come in there and do whatever they want to do, whether it be witches, whether it be devil worshippers, whether it be whatever. He lets anybody and everybody come in and do what they want to do in this place, and he's got different rooms and stuff. And there's
Oh,
been a little bit done on this. If you go on YouTube and
yeah.
or just Google your shrine, you'll find a little bit on it.
Mhm.
But there's supposedly he gave a really good interview, and he supposed had some uncles who potentially back in the 80s killed some people on the land too. So there's some true crime mixed in with
Wow.
this weird shrine that he has built there. And so anyways, we went and shot there, and I went with Sean Austin and actually Shane Pittman, who I don't know if you guys know who he is. He's been on Closure Files, and he was on the Netflix show with Sean too, 28 Days Haunted. But Shane met us there, and Sean and a couple others, and it was good. We were there for 3 days, and man, we got some really good stuff, and some really weird things happened there too. So um, when I finish with Shanley, I'm gonna start working on that, and that'll probably be a series. I think I can
Mm.
do 5 episodes from that because we got some really really good stuff there. And I mean, I've got a couple other docs in the can. I have a guy who helps me kind of part time doing some editing, but he has other stuff going on too. And uh, I need to hire a full time editor because I got like 3 or 4 projects just sit on hard drives that I could be spitting out.
Interns.
I know.
Interns.
Interns.
I've had interns in the past. They don't know how to edit the way that.
You have to help them.
So, but yes, we do. We got a lot of stuff in the can. Like I said earlier, I just wish there was 10 of me. If there was, we could be spitting out a lot faster and stuff. So
Well,
I,
go ahead, Glenda.
I hear you.
yeah,
I do the editing, so I know.
yeah, it's tough.
Can you tell us a little bit more about how like the Scare Network works? Like how they can like go get it, watch it, that type of stuff. Subscribe
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah, so Scare Network, like I mentioned earlier, we have the apps out on Roku, on Fire TV or Fire Stick, whatever it's called. Apple iOS is getting updated right now. Apple TV. So basically, another reason that I left Vimeo was we have actually turned the whole platform to free with ads. So right now you can go and create a free account on, if you go to scarenetwork.tv and create a free account, and you can start watching any of our content for free with ads, just, kind of like Tubi and obviously
Mhm.
what YouTube does. Um, uh, but if you want, we also offer the monthly subscription, $4.99 a month, and that with that you can watch ad free. And when we do new releases and stuff, those are exclusively for our subscribers for a week or two, and then
Mhm.
we release it to get free. And I'm going to start putting up some more exclusive content for our subscribers too on the platform. That'll strictly be for our subscribers. So, it's $4.99 a month. Cancel anytime you want to. And again, we have the free option, which I think is awesome. So, got really good content on there. We just again, we have just not done any type of proper marketing for it. And it frustrates me from, at different times, because I'm like, man, we have so much good content on there, but no one knows about it. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
again, that comes with marketing. So, and and word of mouth and stuff too. So, with that being said, sometimes I have to tame my impatience and just realize that, you know, uh, everything comes in due time, and just again, keep saying it. Just all I can do is just keep working hard, keep putting stuff out there, and hopefully, the stuff that we put out there will get its just due.
Yeah. You put out different genres there. Like, what do you lean more into? Is it like the true crime, the paranormal, like the cryptics monster, or you just like all of them the same?
Hold on one second. Let me answer this.
Sure.
Um, so, um, so the paranormal documentaries and stories have been the biggest thing that we've been able to do over the last few years, because we've been able to produce them at such a we've been able to keep costs down with them and still tell really effective stories with them. With that being said, we've gotten a lot of help along the ways. A lot of locations have helped us out, and maybe not charged, their full rate and stuff. And a lot of people just stepped up and helped us out, which I'm tremendously grateful for. Um, Now we did a true crime series in Bel Air, Ohio. It's called The Devil in Bel Air, and it's a 4-part series. And we really crazy story. This back in 1995, this 17-year-old kid got really heavy into devil worshiping, and he ended up killing his parents on a Friday night, and he cut his dad's head off and put it in a punch bowl and did a ritual around it. Really weird. And he had a hit list. He tried to kill his little brother. Had a football game that night, so he didn't come home. But he tried to lure his brother home. His brother called at like 1 o'clock. He'd already killed his parents, and he's telling his brother, he's like, "Hey, mom and dad are mad at you. You need to come home." He was over at a friend's house, and the brother hung up on him and said, "I'm not coming home." But then the brothers felt bad and started going home. Well, at the same time, the kid who had just killed his parents left because he knew where the brother was, and they crossed paths. So the brother went home, found his parents. The guy who killed his parents was at his friend's house. He immediately went to a fire station, called the cops. The brother did, and they arrested the other brother who had a gun with him walking down the road. Really weird story. So we went there and spent some time, and I was with Sean and others. So we interjected some paranormal into it. Went out to the graves of the parents. Wasn't trying to be disrespectful at all, but nothing big has ever been done on this story. So we did a really good true crime thing mixed in some paranormal. And I know you guys know, as morbid as this sounds, people love true crime stories. They do.
Yeah.
And so I would love to do more on those, more true crime. And again, since I was a kid, like I was, I've always loved UFO and alien stuff. Always loved it. So I definitely want to do more stuff on that. And the horror stuff will come. Like, I mean, I can make a horror movie in my sleep if I wanted to. So that's and then there's so many other horror movies that we can actually pick up and put on the platform too. So, but the paranormal people have really resonated with what we have put out as far as our original paranormal documentaries and stuff. So I'd love to kind of push the boundaries on those and do more. And it's kind of hard at this point to find locations that haven't been done by other teams and
Mhm.
other things. And that's okay. I mean, even if we go to places that have been investigated many times, I'm still going to put my spin and my style on that location and see what we get and just put that out there. So yeah, those four genres. Um, that's that's it. So, but the paranormal true crime are probably what I want to do
Yeah.
more.
Mm.
Yeah.
Very
So
good. I could see that.
yeah,
Yeah, true crime is always good because that, like, your background comes in really handy on that.
yeah,
The research and the investigation part of it,
yeah,
and then just documenting everything you found.
yeah. Netflix again, the king. They do really good true crime docs, and they are obviously have the resources to be able to do a lot of reenactments and stuff. And so as we grow, I want to do kind of more reenactments because that's just a more entertaining way to tell the story of what really happened in particular cases and stuff. So,
Mhm.
paranormal too. Paranormal. I mean, you could do reenactments too. We did a documentary. It wasn't really paranormal. It's called Devil Down South, and it was really good. It's about this girl who's she's probably mid-30s now, but when she was 15 years old, she dabbled in black magic and did was reading these books. I don't know. Hello, girl. Can you close that door, Etta? um, and her aunt was a witch and gave her some really bad advice, and she did some spells with some black candles and pentagram and invited something in, and a lot of bad stuff has happened to her, 15 years since she did it. And Sean had been working with her. She had reached out to Sean. She had seen Sean on some stuff, um, but that story, the reason I brought that up is I was actually able to hire some actors and do some reenactments with that. That was the only way I felt. Because, well, the girl didn't want her face shown, and I
Yeah.
had to change her voice, so I couldn't just do a documentary with not showing her face and changing her voice and to tell a story. So I had to hire actors and stuff to do reenactments with that. That really helped carry that story. Um, that story's crazy because then it ties in. There's another legend down in Mississippi. It's called the Witch of Yazoo. And this
I
girl.
like that name. Which yes, yeah, that sounds cool.
So I did like a 25, 26-minute documentary on the Witch of Yazoo. That story is insane. I want to go do more on that and potentially do a narrative movie on that. The girl who we did the doc on, she's got ties to the Witch of Yazoo. And the legend of the Witch of Yazoo is back in the late 1800s, this woman, a witch, lived out in the woods off the Mississippi River, and she was apparently luring boaters off of the Mississippi in their cabin, was killing them. And the sheriff and his deputies got wind of it, went out to her house, chased her through the woods. She got caught in quicksand, and they didn't pull her out. They let her die. And when she was going under, she raised her fist in the air and said, I'm going to burn this city down in 20 years. And that happened in maybe 1884. One of you, 1881, 1884. Well, 20 years later to the day, Yazoo City, Mississippi burned to the ground. And there's documentation that was in the New York Times
Wow.
and they said that it wasn't even a windy day, but the flames were jumping from house to house, and the woman was buried. The witch was supposedly buried out in the local graveyard, and the grave's still there. And they had put chains around the grave, and supposedly after the city burned down, um, the chains were broken. All the townspeople went out there, and chains were broken of the witch's grave. So it's a really cool story.
That's cool. Yeah.
I've got a shorter story on that on the Witchy Yazoo, and it kind of ties in with the Devil Down South thing. So sorry, I kind of got off track, but I was talking about reenactments, but that story is crazy. Witchy Yazoo.
I definitely want to watch that.
Yep.
It's on there. And Devil Down South too. The girl in the Devil Down South took a picture of her shoulder one time, and it's in the documentary. And you can clearly see a witch sticking her hair out. You can see the pointed nose and the hat, and she's green, and so it's crazy. It was in her hallway at her house. So yeah, I mean we've seen some crazy stuff just in the few years I've been doing this particular thing. So
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
It is. It is. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we're coming kind of towards the end. Is there anything that you haven't mentioned that you would like to?
Lord, I think I've given you all my life story and then some. No, again, thank you guys for having me on. Yeah, I just encourage anyone to go to scarenetwork.tv and just kind of browse around and see what we have, and take a look and give us a shot and help support an independent growing streaming platform. So you guys have any other questions or anything?
Yeah, go subscribe, guys.
Yes, please. And, let's get this going because it sounds like you are going to make a difference in the field.
Yeah. You have our support.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've gotten just for being around this short amount of time, I think we've gotten I'd like to hope we've gotten a pretty good reputation as far as the type of content that we put out, we create, and keeping it real more than anything, if that makes sense, and especially in the paranormal field too.
Definitely. Well, thank you
Thank you.
and for being here, and we would be happy to have you back,
Definitely.
especially when you get some of those other projects out.
Yeah, reach
More
out.
about him,
I'd
and
love to come on and talk to him. Bring Sean on, and he can talk more on them too. So
yeah, and maybe the two of you could come together. So.
yeah, it'd be awesome.
Yeah, feel free to plug anything else you want to. The website again or anything before we leave.
Yeah, again, the website's really easy, just scarenetwork.tv. Just type that in your web browser or go on, your Apple iOS app and search it, or just Google Scare Network and it'll give you links to anything, or your Roku TVs. We need more people on Roku, and so many people have Roku TVs. We just need you to go and download the app for free and start watching for free. That's all that we ask. We need more people on the site too. So
yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you.
Yes.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And thank you, Sarah. And thank you to our audience. And as always, we love you and see you next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.